Hey, everybody, welcome to our weekly Zoom call, our Thriving Lives podcast. I think I did that out of order than I usually do. Anyway, today we are talking about repetitions over the perfect rep, and what that's going to kind of apply to. Before we get into that, though, Renee's how's the cut been the past week?
Oh, pretty good. I feel like it's going well. Um, so hopefully we in
Nu-
good shape.
Nutrition
for,
solid? Any struggles with that? Any wins?
Nutrition solid. I guess the win would be the world telling me I could not get coffee. And then it's been pretty on point other than my watermelon and blueberries that I've added
Watermelon
in this
intake.
week.
There you go. Yeah,
Um,
that's
but
good.
I
I mean,
took out cheese on my like burger bowls. I've just been doing avocado instead of the cheese. I'm trying to eliminate more dairy if I can.
yeah. Yeah,
But
especially when you're at home and in more control of it. It's just easier to do. If you're eating out, then that's when it's like, if I have it, then I have it.
yeah. But should be going good. I feel like I've made good progress. So I'm excited for um nutrition also. I guess I had a cheat meal on Monday night with Nicole.
Oh yeah,
Um
what would you have? What you guys end up eating?
Enjoy, which is I got like a classic salad, so it's like lettuce with turkey and cheese and egg and avocado and olives.
So
So
not really a cheat meal, just something off
it wasn't cheat meal.
just
I
off your
couldn't
normal plan.
track the portions of it. I
Yeah,
tried.
yeah,
Um,
that makes sense.
but still around my same caloric intake goal. And so yeah,
Nice.
I might do like a couple days. I might do like one intuitive eating day after Sunday before I hunker down again before Mexico.
Oh yeah, yeah, that makes sense. So we're doing Renee and I are doing a little photo shoot on Sunday. We got some new merch. We're trying to rock a little bit with it, but then also just a little tandem photo shoots. We both have other content and whatnot, so that's exciting. Been kind of the feel to Renee's cut, and then she's got Mexico coming up as well. Funny enough, I when I got to like 173 is when I went from 180 to 173 in my beginning stage of my cut, including the flush that I did as well. And actually, so when I got that lab work back and I saw thyroid numbers were off and some other things, and I was like, I need to stop cutting right now and stop putting that extra stress in my body. Um, Funny enough, so I actually increased my calories. I've been having close to 300 carbs a day, fats around 100, and I still dropped about 3 or 4 more pounds.
Dang.
Mainly, I think because I've been prioritizing lower stress activities. I've actually been, I mean, minimally training in the gym. I did have a pretty good workout the other day, but outside of that, I've been keeping it very low intensity. If I am doing any weights, and really that's been minimal anyway, doing walks, restorative yoga, that good stuff. So still getting a lot of steps out there playing golf and stuff, but not stress my body in the gym right now. And yeah, I mean, things are looking good and weights actually come down, which was not the intention. And I'm eating plenty of food, so that's always a good win. But anyway though, let's dive on into our topic of the night. So talking about repetitions over the perfect rep. Now, we want to kind of preface this by say this is everything outside of the gym. So when we're in the gym, let's kind of start with talking about that. We do want quality reps. We do want the perfect reps
Yeah.
as much as we can, right? Especially if you're new to weight training, we want to focus on form over everything else. We want to make sure we have a good foundation, moving things correctly, full range of motion, all the basics when it comes to training, and then intensity from there. And then we add on reps, we add on weight, things of that nature. But so yeah, so in talking about fitness specifically or in the gym specifically, we want quality over quantity in terms of your actual workouts. Now, what I will say, getting to the gym though, is something that we could focus more on repetitions instead of the perfect rep, meaning you might not be able to do an entire full on kick ass workout that day. But if you're trying to build a habit of getting yourself to the gym, having the rep of just showing up, having the rep of just getting in there, hitting the sauna, doing a little bit of cardio, doing a little bit of abs, just building the habit of actually getting in there is something that you can focus on with reps in terms of actually getting to the gym. Um, Renee, anything to kind of add on to the gym side of things?
Um, no, I think it was a good, just a side note, the clients that did show up for the lift party, we were able to help them with their form, and that's always good. I think you don't always know what you're not doing until you're shown or until like you see the correct way. which is really helpful. So that's just an example of why form and stance and getting your body ready before you start moving those weights and things like that is just much more important than people think.
Yeah.
Instead of just going through the motions, when you actually feel that mind and muscle connection, you're like, okay, this is the muscle that's moving. Now again, you don't have to be perfect. There's some discrepancies within form. However, like Marcus said, just the quality of those
The
lifts.
actual movement. Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm happy you brought up the lift party. I totally slipped my mind that we had that 4 days ago. Yeah, great turnout. Lots of good like one-on-one work that we got to do. You know, I know that you got to kind of do some hands-on work with that 4 or 5 clients. I got to do the same thing, which was definitely good. It's good seeing, people that usually we're just seeing, behind a screen, getting to see some in-person interaction with it. And like you said, getting that feedback on various exercises, which is the benefit of in-person training.
Mhm.
100%. But yeah, I mean, first and foremost, when you guys are using the training apps, they all have every single exercise has videos to it. So even if you feel like you're doing things pretty correctly, it still helps to review some of those exercises as well. And if you still feel uncomfortable with how you're doing something, even after watching the videos and really trying to work hard on those cues with it, two things. Number one, send us videos of you doing it. We can always give you feedback. Actually, three things. Second option is let's link up in person and go over some of those things. Really help you with that foundation. And the third thing is hey, like YouTube that specific exercise and just watch a bunch of videos on it. And maybe hearing it said or shown in one way, things will kind of click. Because the more times you're looking at that, the more times you're reviewing those things, the more you're actually imprinting those cues in your head that you can maintain in the gym. But yeah, I mean, setting up for a movement properly, in terms of your foundation with the movement, bracing your core, all that stuff really has a lot to do with your progression in the gym. There's a lot of time that some people will say, hey, this workout plan is pretty easy. And the main thing with that is that, I mean, you could just say, hey, do 3 sets of 10 with dumbbell curls. And if all I had was 15 pounds, I could still make that really intense in a pretty difficult movement. If I'm being really, really intentional with the actual form, with the tempo that I'm using, things of that nature. So case in point with that is just that, you know, uh, um, making sure that your intensity is in check, making sure your form is in check. All those things are really, really important. So quality over quantity when it comes to what you're doing in the gym. But let's kind of step outside of the gym, which is the whole basis of what repetitions over the perfect rep means. I know on Renee and I's questionnaires when people are signing up or reaching out, one of the things we ask is, are you an all or nothing person? And I think it's safe to say, I would say probably 95%, if not 100% of people that have ever came to me pretty much live in that, right? Unless they've had work like this before, they are kind of the all or nothing person where I'm either crushing it or I'm fully off. If I have one bad day, there goes the week. If I have one bad week, there goes the month. And then it's been months since I really got back on track with it. And that's usually because we're striving for like these perfect days and feel like when I'm not getting my workout in, well, what does it matter for what I'm eating? What does it matter about my sleep or my hydration? And so that's where we want to get out of that perfectionist mindset and just focus on getting those reps in, right? Another big piece of this as well is trial and error. Understanding that with developing I mean really anything new, but especially when it comes to our lifestyles, Renee and I are going to give you a framework to work within. But you got to kind of make that your own, right? And that comes through trial and error. We're not going to be there with you in the kitchen. We're not going to be there with you in these different areas of life. I mean, we're there with you in spirit. We're there with you, over the phone as you need us. But outside of that, though, you would just got to understand that a lot of this comes down to your trial and error. Try it one way, try it the way that we recommend it. And hey, we can give you 5 other ways that we can recommend it as well. But you got to try it and you got to stick to it long enough to really see, does this work for me or does this not, in terms of this one solution, this one strategy, this one way of meal prepping my chicken or whatever that looks like. That's where we're talking about repetitions of meal prepping, repetitions going to the grocery store, repetitions of trying to get to bed on time, right? Repetitions of getting your ass to the gym, right? To have quality workouts. That's where we want to focus on the reps and not beating ourselves up because we didn't have the perfect rep, the perfect, grocery shopping experience or meal prepping experience or things of that nature. Thoughts on that?
Um, I think there can be a difference as well in like the all or nothing mindset. versus perfectionist. Like I don't have an all or nothing mindset. I feel like I am pretty level headed when it comes to like the differences and oh, I did this, so I won't do this. However, I am a perfectionist. You just have to, when it comes to like people struggling with perfectionism, you have to figure out your version of perfect, I think, as well. Like when you can adjust your threshold for perfect, I think consistency becomes easier and discipline becomes easier. If I worded that correctly for how I'm trying to say it. Does that make sense?
I think it does, but elaborate a little bit more. What do you mean by adjusting your threshold?
So like if your goal is, I mean, I was gonna say working out, but like your macros, like being perfect does not have to mean within 0 grams of protein, or if like maybe it's hitting your protein goal within 10 grams and that's good versus oh, I need to be perfect or I'm not doing it right. If you're, there's a big difference between being 50 grams off of your protein or carbs versus being 3 to 5 grams. And so if you think, if you're in that mindset of oh, well, I'm still 5 grams off of my protein, so I'm not doing well anyways.
Yeah.
No, that's not the case whatsoever. But
Mhm.
yeah, when you're 50 grams off your protein, then yeah, you're not really,
Missing the mark.
yeah, you're not really getting there. And so I think just as perfectionism, like you want to be good and thorough, but you also want to be efficient and effective.
Yeah. Yeah. So another thought to go on with it as well is like, we've all heard this term like analysis by paralysis, where you want to do something, you want to start something, and you wait until you have this like perfect clear vision of it. But all that waiting, and first off, you're never going to have that perfect clear vision. You're never going to have that perfect opportunity to kind of get started with something. So it's just about getting going, right? It's just starting, and it could be a very, very rough start. You don't have to have all your ducks in a row to get started. You just got to get started and establish where your baseline is, and then where do we go from here? You know what I mean? And then keep chipping away at it, keep working at it, and eventually, and it's never going to be perfect, but by putting in the reps, you can get it to a place where it's that skill set or whatever it is just much stronger. And so again, it's not about being perfect with it, it's just about putting in the reps with it.
I think that's what I mean by like changing your perception of perfect as well,
Yeah.
because like, no, I'm not perfect on my macros, but for me, I'm hitting them every single day within those
Yeah.
like pretty dang close areas. Or
And it
same
could
with,
be and it could be perfect with, a baseline goal. So it's not hitting those perfect macros, but hey, right now you've never tracked your macros before, just getting fucking started and just tracking every day. That's the repetitions, right? And then after a week of that, then you get the repetitions of getting closer and closer and closer to those
yes,
macros
yeah.
versus you've never tracked a day in your life. I wouldn't expect your tracking to be spot on day one, but I want you to
No,
get started. I want you to at least make the effort of tracking your meals whenever you're eating. Then we're tracking those things. If you've
same with, I think, the act of working out. I think a
Yep.
lot of people think, okay, I need to be working out 7 days a week. And if
Yeah.
not, I am not doing this correctly. But no, again, I don't expect anyone who's doesn't ever work out to then go work out 7 days a week. Even
And nor
even
should you.
5 days a week is a lot when you haven't worked out. And so if you miss one day, then you can't get down on yourself, because if you're setting your goals slightly lower but more attainable, then you're able to build on those goals. If you just started out like, oh, I'm going to do 5 days a week, there's not really room for you to grow, because then you're going to dive fast and burn out, I feel
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
uh,
Well, and again, if you've never been somebody that, using the gym as an example, went to the gym, at least on a very consistent basis with it, like starting your lifestyle journey with this, or your gym journey or fitness journey, whatever, you can't just, and this is the reason why so many people burn out as well, is because their attempts are so extreme versus where they,
like I'm going to work out 5 days a week at 5 a.m. and I'm never going to miss a day.
yeah, and
And
it's like,
that's just not practical.
and don't get me wrong, like some of those might be like maybe 5 a.m. is the only time you can get a workout in. And so maybe that's the one thing you're just being consistent with, right? But again, a lot of us here in Thriving Lives, like either people have multiple jobs or people have children or whatever the case is, and there's a lot of other facets to balance out. So it's controlling, managing your expectations coming into this game is definitely crucial because, like Renee said, if you're setting the bar super high, you might be able to live up to that for 1 week or maybe even 1 month, but if that stays your expectation to get to the gym 5, 6, 7 times a week, when that's really not feasible in your life, and now you're like, whatever, you're gonna burn out with that. Like, there's gonna be shit that comes in the way that knocks you off. And if you feel like a failure because you only got to the gym 4 times instead of 5 times that week, then that's disheartening for you. And again, like your bar is just set too high with that. So it's just a matter about, I mean, the bar that we should all set for ourselves is I'm going to control the controllables, right? My baseline is I'm going to get my water intake in. And even then, you're still not, going to get your water intake. I made a post about that a couple weeks or, a week or two ago, is I realized at the end of one day, I didn't get my water intake in. So what was I doing the next day? I was very intentional with not letting that same thing repeat 2 times in a row with it. But yeah, finding your baseline, things that again on your worst day you can still control, is definitely crucial with that. But
Out of that all or nothing mindset too will be easier once you just start doing it. Like if you have to just go it like not all in, but like you have to
you have to
accept
start.
that you're going to make mistakes because no one's going to just start out perfect and then build that discipline. Like you have to go through trial and error. And so I lost my train of thought, but just
Well,
you are what you repeat. So the more you do it, even if it's not perfect, you're going to get closer to your own standard of perfect if you're actually just doing it instead of just sitting there like, oh, I can't do it or I messed up once. And that's where I say to my clients a lot, would you rather have one fail a day or 10 fails a day in your eyes? Like if just because you had that chocolate cake doesn't now mean you need to go eat a soda and ice cream and just overly compound it. Like let yourself slip up, fine, but then just correct it and move on from there. Don't harp on it.
definitely 100%. Anybody have anything to add on to this? Do you struggle with this? Any questions about this? Do you guys feel like you're struggling with? You're going to Cancun, Renee. That's where you're going. I was asked
Uh,
that.
with that, I just have a little bit to add.
Yo,
Uh, I definitely had to learn that with my whole like fitness program and like eating as well. So not try to be perfect. You might remember like early on, and I got really good at that. But now I need to try to apply that to other aspects in my life. I need to try to, you know, not always try to have that perfect day because it's not going to happen every day. Man.
yeah. It's-
I did a good job when it comes to health and fitness, but now trying to master that elsewhere.
which I would say, health and fitness is probably, and just a healthy lifestyle is, in my opinion, the hardest thing to really. I don't know if we ever necessarily master it, because even once you master it, like it still is a lifelong evolving thing, as you've seen for yourself with it. But I do think that, getting yourself into a really consistent spot and really being intentional with it for a long period of time with health and fitness, like you said, you can take those skills, which is really hard skill set to really, build for yourself, and apply that to everything else. That's why I feel like, athletics is a great foundation for people, for kids kind of coming up, because it kind of teaches that resilience and things of that nature. But same thing with just carving out this healthier lifestyle. It it spills over into all other areas of your life, into your relationships and things of that nature, and how you approach getting in the gym and eating and stuff like that. If you can be that intentional with other things you want to improve on, I mean, you've already done with one of the hardest things, so you can definitely improve upon everything else. Good point, Dext. Good point. Missed you on Sunday. I thought you were going to be out there. Actually, I think you told me you weren't going to be there at the lift party. But
The only other thing I'll add to this too for like an experience in my life was that I had moved in the middle of my cut a couple weeks ago, and for that first week, my dog was trying to adjust to being home alone all day by himself, and I was gone all day. And I would come home and he just would be crying, and I was like, okay, well, I can't go to the gym, but I can go on a walk. And it's funny because in my eyes, I was like, okay, well, I don't have like I need to be on game, like on my game right now. I'm doing this cut, and it's actually ironic because I feel like I made more progress the more walks I started putting in, the more steps I was getting in. So something that I thought was a roadblock of not being able to go to the gym as much that week ended up creating a new pathway for me to realize, okay, I'm going to get 10,000 steps in. And even if I can't get to the gym, my forward lifting days and Pilates twice a week and whatever, I'm still getting my steps in, and it just skyrocketed my progress. So little things that seem like detours can actually just be little, or things that seem like roadblocks can actually be detours. But had I have just been like, oh no, I'm going to give up, like I'm going to end this cut right now because I can't go to the gym this week, then that'd be pointless.
Yeah, it's defeating the whole purpose of everything you're doing. Plus, the other benefit, and this is just specifically with your walking as well, is you did two things with that. You increased your steps per day, your total daily expenditure of energy, and then the other thing you did as well is those walks help put you in that parasympathetic state. You're between the gym, coaching with Thriving Lives, your dental jobs, and then on top of that, Pilates as well, is you have lots of irons in the fire kind of all spread out, right? So you're constantly go, go, go right now, way more than this time last year. You know what I mean? You've added some other stuff to your plate. So point in with saying that though is you're just more stressed. And even if you don't necessarily feel stressed, when you're constantly go, 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 go all the time, even if it's things that you enjoy doing, it's still a stress because you're never just able to just kind of sit down and just take a deep breath, right? Until the very end of the day, or until you go on that walk, right? So if you're out in the sun, you're with your dog, maybe you're listening to music, maybe you're listening to an audiobook, or maybe you're just walking and just enjoying the walk, right? Just as something as simple as that, that's helping you kind of lower that stress, which then between the little bit of extra steps and the lower stress, now you're in a better mental state, which allows you to thrive on all these other ways. You're not feeling as burnt out. And on top of that, your cortisol levels have just dropped because of that as well, which is something I've noticed. And I think that's the reason why, one of the main reasons why I've continued dropping some weight is because I really focus on lowering that stress inflammation the past month or two. And that just helped put my body into a more prime state and more relaxed state, which I 100% feel the benefits of right now. Which I would employ anybody that if you're feeling kind of overstressed with that, sometimes, I was saying this to somebody the other day, is like when it comes to fitness and getting in the gym, we can't apply the same mindset we might have to sports all of our life, or like, harder is better, no pain, no gain, like that type of stuff. Like when it comes to fitness, we got to pull back so we can move forward. Sometimes we got to work smarter, not harder. Same thing with like the whole, like, culture you see like on Instagram and stuff, like, 4 a.m. wake up times, like hardcore, hardcore, hardcore. I'm like, yeah, to an extent, right? Because if you're now just sleeping 4 hours a night, like you're digging a hole. Like, yeah, that's cool. That's admirable that you can do that, I guess. It's impressive that you can force yourself to do that, but that's going to end at some point, right? You can only dig that hole for so long until your adrenals are shot, or until, testosterone shot, or whatever that looks like to it. So we got to work smarter, not harder. We can't just fight our body every step of the way. We got to pull back and listen to what our body's telling us as well. And if you're feeling, super high stress with it, then you got to know that I got to pull back on some things right now. I got to reprioritize what I'm doing. And that's hard to do, especially if you have a certain goal. Like, we just want to force it sometimes and just keep going with it. But again, with a healthy body is one that we can actually listen to and respond to accordingly when it tells us stuff, and whether that's through lab work or just through just how you feel, all that good stuff. But anyway, so repetitions over the perfect rep. Hopefully you guys grasped some good stuff with that. I don't really think I have much else to add with that.
Repeatedly check in.
Repeatedly check in. Yes, exactly. And that one again.
And you don't have to have the perfect check-in. You don't have to have a storybook novel every time. If you're reflecting honestly and checking in, then you're going to make progress.
And all of those extra reps that you're doing with that then leads to that becoming just more of a natural mindset that you always kind of maintain. You're more mindful of your water intake. You're more mindful of your stress, like we just kind of talked about, and anything else that you might be struggling with. You can become more mindful of it and more intentional around it the more you're answering those questions. So keep doing those check-ins. Keep focusing on repetitions over progress, unless of course you're in the gym, in which we want to get to the gym. We want reps of doing that and building that as a habit in our life. But in terms of actually moving the weight, we do want quality reps with it. But even then though, sometimes you got to play with it, right? Until you can really kind of find the right rhythm, the right form with it. And sometimes we just got to learn through trial and error, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just accept that as a part of the journey, whether you want it or not. Is you're gonna have some failures, you're gonna have some slip ups, but it's never really a true failure as long as you're sticking with it and persisting and persevering through. But anyway, guys, the people on the call, you guys got any questions pertaining to this or anything else? We want to make sure we address those before we let you guys go for the night. All right. Well, happy Wednesday. Happy week. What is it? It is May 22nd. We got like 4 weeks until summer's officially here. Let's keep kicking some ass. I've been enjoying check-ins the past few weeks. It seems like everybody's pretty highly motivated, doing lots of good things. But if that's not you, that's all right. Just make sure you're checking in and reflecting, and we'll get you going on the right path. Anyway, you guys have a good week. See you guys on check-in day, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Ooh.